Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at the first of two measures of spread that we're going to talk about. This is the interquartile range. This is, fortunately, the easier of the two. Significantly so. It is the one that we associate with the median. So when you're working with the median, if you're measuring the spread of your data, this is the one you would use. So first of all, what is the measure of spread? The measure of spread is, this is a way of telling how spread out the actual data is. So for instance, just by giving you the median, I can tell you where the middle of the data is, but that doesn't actually tell me a ton about, what the rest of the data looks like. So this is a way of doing that. First of all, in order to find the interquartile range, we're going to start by talking about quartiles. Okay, so quartiles, which this is a way of splitting it up. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to put all the data in order and we're going to find the median. Okay, so the median is sometimes referred to as Q2. It's very rarely called Q2. It's usually just written as an M because we always talk about it as the median. But what you're going to do is once you've done that, you split the data into the top half of the data and the bottom half of the data. All right. The median of that top half is called Q3. This is the third quartile. Okay, the first quartile then is the median of the lower half of the data. All right. So once we've done that, okay. So I'm getting ahead of myself here. So that's what Q1 is. That's what Q2 is. That's what Q3 is. So you find the median. You split it in half. You find the median of both the bottom half and the top half. That gives you Q1 and Q3. All right. Okay. Let's get rid of all that. That's all right. I thought that was going to be easier than it was. Anyway, okay. So let's look ahead. So we talked about quartiles there. So the interquartile range then is what we're going to use those to find. So what you do, and this is fairly straightforward, you're just going to find, once you've found your Q3, you're going to subtract Q1 from Q3. And of course Q1 will always be smaller, otherwise you did it wrong because Q1 is the lower half of the data, all right? So what this tells us where the middle half of the data is, okay? The middle half of the data, or the range of the middle half, I should say. All right, so it tells us how big that middle half of the data, and this tells us a lot more information about, it gives us a better idea of what this data is going to look like then. All right, so we've got an example here, and whoop, there we go. So there's all of our data for a math class, and we're going to figure out what the interquartile range is. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take all of this data and you're going to put it in order. And there we go. Okay, a tip to do this is not only should you sort of tick off like I did or cross out the data as you go, I like to write my new ordered data directly underneath each of the other ones. That way you know if you missed one somehow. All right, it just becomes more obvious if you've made a mistake. Okay, so first of all, we're going to find the median, so we can count in from each side. We can go 1, 2, like that, and we find that this is the middle right here. Okay, so that's my middle, or my median. All right, so because it fell between two pieces of data, we are going to do 67 plus 71 and divide them by 2. All right, which should give us 69, right? So that equals 69. So that's your median. All right, so once we've done that, we're going to find Q1 and Q2. All right, so I'll switch to green, and we go 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we get this guy right here. Well, I shouldn't circle that top part, it's just the bottom part there. Okay, and so you do just get Q1 is equal to 59. Okay, and well, I know it's 3, so it's right there. And so Q3 is equal to 75. All right. So now that we've got Q3, we've got Q1, all we need to do is find the interquartile range, which I can't remember if this was up there or not now. Whatever. We call it the IQR, is typically what we call it, okay? Well, we call it the interquartile range, but we don't write that because we're lazy. So, whoops, nope, that was the wrong number. Oh my goodness, I made that eraser so big. All right, let's try this again. Minus 59, and that gives us 16. All right, so the interquartile range is 16. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to write this. And I briefly mentioned in the graphing lesson that one type of graphing we would talk about was the box and whisker ply. And we didn't actually talk about it. I just kind of made you excited for it. So, what we're going to do, I feel like, yeah, this is, hold on. I think I was supposed to use different data for this. I don't know where that went. Whatever. Alright, we'll use it with this. We just have to change our scale here. So, let's change this. So let's call this, here, let's call this 50. Let's call this one 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and we'll get rid of that. Alright, so there we go. Perfect. All right. So what you're going to do for a box and whisker ply is you're going to do everything that we just did. Basically, you have to do that. Once you have this data, there's 5 numbers that matter. Oh, and so I do actually have to add a 40 here. I'll add a 40. Okay. The 5 pieces of data that you need to know. 3 of them are obvious. You're going to need to know your Q1. You're going to need to know your Q5. Or I mean Q3. Sorry, I just got distracted because that 5 was missing. Okay? And you need to know your median. Alright, so Q1, median, Q3. Those are the obvious ones. The other 2 pieces of data you're going to need to know are the smallest piece of data and the largest piece of data. Alright? And so what you're going to do is you're just going to put a vertical line. This is just a one-dimensional graph, basically. I mean, we're going to use the height there just so that you can actually see it. But you're not actually doing anything. So the things you're going to do, you're going to graph. So we'll start with our smallest piece of data, which was 43. All right, so that's going to be kind of like right there. It doesn't have to be exact, but there it is. Okay, and then we'll put Q1, which was 59. So we'll put that one right about there. All right, and then we had 69 for the median, which was right there. Okay, Q3 was at 75, which is a nice easy one. That's right on the line. Of course, I can't draw on the line, apparently. And then 90 was the highest, so another one that falls right on the data. So there you go. So you've just got those 5 lines drawn, and you can even label them. You don't need to, strictly speaking. We won't label the smallest, but we can label that Q1, M, Q3. All right, and then we've got, here, I'll label this just so your notes are complete. We'll say minimum, and we'll say maximum. You don't actually have to write those things down, but that's just showing you what you do. All right, and so then what you're going to do is you're actually going to draw a horizontal line connecting the smallest piece of data to Q1. You're going to do the same thing connecting Q3 to the maximum. Okay? And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to turn this middle half of the data into a box. Like that. And there we go. That is called the box and whisker plot because there's the box, there's the whiskers. Alright. Fairly self-explanatory, I'm sure. Okay, and that's it. So it's kind of a visual representation. You can see where the middle half of the data is. You can see that it's pretty spread out, but you know, it's whatever. You see where the middle of the data is there, and you can see that the median's a little bit high within that middle half of the data. It just gives you a kind of a visual representation. All right. Okay, so we are going to do a frequency one. All right. So frequency ones. These ones, these seem challenging, but they're not really. Okay, you just have to. Well, you'll see. Okay, so what we want to do here, so we got this nurses union thing. So this is nurses, number of people that worked this number of hours per week. All right. And so what you're going to do, and this would have been like having a tally chart, and you said, oh, there were 5 people that were here, 7 people here, whatever. Okay, so 12 people, or 12 there, that means that person number 1, if we ordered all the people, person number 1 would be standing in that box by themselves. All right, now person number 2, and remember these, what I'm writing here, it's kind of like their label of the person. So it's person 2 through person 6. Okay, so to get here, I'm gonna make that small. Maybe I'm not. Oh, come on. All right, so to get from here, to get this one here, okay, you're just gonna take whatever the last number here was and add 1. Okay, so after person 1 came person 2. To get this number here, you're going to take whatever you had, so 2, okay, or 1, and you're going to add the 5, okay? So the next person is going to be person number 7, so it's the 6 plus 1, okay? There's 7 people in there, so it's going to go up to 13. So that one there is the 6 plus 7. This one there is 6 plus 1. So the first one's always going to be whatever came last plus 1, and then you add whatever this number is here. All right? Okay. So what comes next? Person number 14. Okay? And how many people were there? 8. So we'll go up to person 21. Okay? Then we have person 22, and there were 5 people in there, so it's going to go up to 26. Okay? Remember, you're adding the 5 to this number, not this number, because you have to include person 22. If we added 5 to the 22, we'd actually have 6 people in there instead of the 5. All right? So that's why it's like that. Okay? So once we've done that, we know there's 26 people. All right? This is where it kind of gets a little confusing, but it's not necessarily. Okay? So what you're going to do is we'll start with the median. Okay? So to find the median, okay, we're going to say, well, there are 26 people. So you're going to say, well, let's take person number 1. We'll add person number 26. So we take the person with the smallest and we add the person with the biggest, and we divide it by 2, and we find that what we want is person number 13.5. That's our median. Whoever person 13.5 is our median. Okay? So then we look, and unfortunately 13.5 doesn't fall in one of these intervals. If it was 12.5, we'd just say that it would have just been 35. It would have just been in there. Okay? It's not. It's in between these two. Okay? Which is unfortunate because it means we got more work, but it's not a big deal. All you're going to do is take the 35. So the median actually equals. This is where it occurred. That's why I used a colon. So the median actually equals 35, because that was person number 13 was 35, plus 38, which was person number 14, and we divided by 2 because we want 13.5, and that will give us 36.5. Okay, so the median is 36.5. All right. So now we're going to do Q1 and Q2, and you're going to do the exact same process, but we're looking at the top half and the bottom half. Okay, so for Q1, where it occurs, well, now we're dealing with the bottom half of these 26 people, so there's going to be person 1 through 13, okay, divided by 2, so that gives us 14, divided by 2 is 7. So we want person number 7, and this one, because it worked out really well, we can just look at where person number 7 was. I forgot to label that 1. So Q1 is just equal to wherever person 7 was, which was 35, I believe. Okay. So there we go. Now we're going to do Q2. Q2, so we take the top half of the data, so we're looking at person number 14, we add person number 26, we divide by 2, okay? So we'll get 40 divided by 2, so we want that to be person number 20. Okay, so Q, oh, this should have been Q3. Sorry, I labeled that wrong. Q3. We already did Q2. All right, so Q3 is just equal to wherever person number 20 was, and they were under 38. There we go. So what's our interquartile range? IQR is equal to 38 minus 35, which gives us 3. Okay. And now we can draw a wax and whisker plot. So we'll say, so again, so first we start with our smallest piece of data, which was 12. So 12 is going to be about here, give or take. All right. And then we're going to move on to Q1, which was 35. Q1 was 35. Okay, our median was 36.5, which is kind of, I don't know, like here-ish. And then we went up to 38, which was, or our Q3 was 38, which was there. And then our maximum piece of data was 42, which will be about here. Okay, so we draw our whiskers, draw our box. Almost made it. And there we go. And so this is a good idea of, like, this question is a good example of why we do this. Because you can really see, you get a big picture of the data, because yeah, I mean, they're working anywhere from 12 to whatever it was, 41, 42. Okay, 42. But most people are working in here, right? There's not very many people down here, right? There's only, those are kind of your anomalies. Okay, those are your outliers. Almost everybody's working in this part of the data here. All right, that's it. So there is another question there, but I'm going to leave that for tomorrow in class. All right, so until next time, go Sabres.